The sun had long since set over the city, and the streets were shrouded in a thick fog that crept through the alleyways like a living thing. Emily had just moved into her new home, a grand mansion on the outskirts of town. It was a beautiful place, with ornate furniture, elegant chandeliers, and a grand staircase that seemed to go on forever. Emily was enchanted by her new home, but she soon discovered that something was not quite right. Every night, she heard strange noises coming from the walls, and she could feel a cold breeze blowing through the house, even on the warmest of days. She tried to ignore the strange occurrences, but they persisted, and Emily became increasingly anxious. One evening, as Emily was sitting in her parlor, she heard a faint tapping at her window. She cautiously approached the glass and peered outside, but saw nothing. She was about to turn away when she felt a cold hand on her shoulder. She spun around to face a tall, pale figure, dressed in a cloak and carrying a silver-tipped cane. It was a vampire, and it had come for her. Emily tried to scream, but the vampire's icy grip held her fast. It leaned in close, revealing two sharp fangs and eyes that glowed like red-hot coals. "Do not be afraid, my dear," it whispered. "You are in the presence of greatness." Emily felt a chill run down her spine. She had heard stories of vampires, but she had never believed they were real. And yet here was one, standing before her, its cold breath on her neck. The vampire then sank its teeth into Emily's neck, and she felt a cold, numbing sensation spread through her body. She tried to fight back, but it was no use. The vampire was too powerful, and Emily was too weak. As she lay there, helpless and dying, the vampire leaned over and whispered in her ear, "Welcome to the world of the undead, my dear. You are now one of us." And with that, Emily's life was over, and her eternal torment began. The vampire continued to haunt the mansion, feasting on the blood of its inhabitants and using their life force to sustain itself. Its power grew stronger with each passing night, and soon it was the most feared creature in the city. People whispered of its dark presence, and parents warned their children not to go out after dark. But the vampire was cunning and elusive, and it continued to claim victims, leaving their lifeless bodies strewn about the city like discarded toys. As the years went by, the vampire's power grew ever stronger, and its thirst for blood became insatiable. It had grown tired of the mortal world and longed for the sweet release of death, but it knew that it could never die. And so it continued to roam the city streets, a lonely and cursed creature, forever trapped in its own dark, twisted world of horror and despair. The mansion, meanwhile, remained abandoned and haunted, its walls echoing with the ghostly whispers of the vampire's victims. The grand staircase that had once seemed so elegant and inviting now loomed like a death trap, and the elegant chandeliers that had once illuminated the rooms now cast eerie shadows on the walls. And in the darkness, the vampire continued to hunt, its hunger never fully sated, its thirst never fully quenched. For it was a creature of the night, forever damned to walk the earth, forever cursed to live in a world of horror and despair.